morning, good afternoon, good evening. In a very interesting article in Nehanda Radio, Dr. Sibangilizwe Moyo brought up an important issue that Zimbabweans should take very seriously. In the article, he refers to the problem that is at the heart of our failed political system. The failure to have an honest debate and honest democratic competition that has stifled our political system and make it totally dysfunctional. In the article, he talks of in any serious democratic tradition, political leadership is strengthened, not weakened, by scrutiny. Yet in contemporary Zimbabwean opposition politics, criticism has increasingly been recast as betrayal, inquiry as hostility, and analysis as malice. This is at the heart of why Zimbabwe we are a failed state. He was talking here of opposition politics, but it's equally true in ZANU-PF. In fact, it's equally true in most of our institutions. We just have not had the tradition of accepting serious debate and democratic competition. And we have failed to appreciate the benefits of serious debate and democratic competition. I totally agree with him. The quality of our leadership is not undermined by scrutiny and serious debate and accountability. It is strengthened by it. And yet this is something that has proven to be a problem in Zimbabwe. Why is it? Well, to be quite honest, I think there is a lot in saying that when those in positions of power and authority have shown the tendencies to resist close scrutiny, we have given in too readily. We have preferred to go along and walk in the sewage than raise the problem and be considered disagreeable. This has been one of our main problems. Ben, welcome to the program. Did you read the article?
Good day to you and good day to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. Yes, I had a chance to go through the article. You know, the first thing that comes to mind is as Zimbabweans, do we actually know the true meaning of democracy, or what constitutes a country to be a democracy? I think this is where we have made a mistake, and we think that by participating or holding elections periodically, that gives us the right to use a democratic nation. That is not it. In fact, democracy has got prerequisites. Democracy is when you have the prerequisites, you maintain them so that you maintain that status. And we all know that since 1980, Zimbabwe has never held free, fair, and credible elections. And it is not just me that is saying so. The whole world is saying so with me. It is only Zimbabweans who are comfortable with the process because that is according to their definition. But if you go across any other healthy functioning economy or healthy functioning country, you will find that their democracy is different from ours. And I think this is where we should look or benchmark ourselves. We are saying we are a democratic country. Do we have the prerequisites? No, we don't. Do we have, the signs and, the symptoms of any other healthy functioning democracy? No, we do not. So I think we have to go back and look at the definition again. I think I will stop there, then I will continue.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I think this problem keep reoccurring again and again because of our failure to appreciate the benefits of serious, honest debate. One of the benefits of a serious and open debate is that you iron out the falsehoods. You now focus on the truth. And there is nothing like an open and honest debate to force the truth to come out. So if you stifle debate and democratic competition, you will always invariably end up with a situation where you follow policies that have not been properly tested and scrutinized, and therefore then are likely to make mistakes. And this is exactly what we've seen in our politics. Some of the economic policies that have been followed by ZANU-PF, you say to yourself, this is crazy. This doesn't make any sense at all. But you can see the reason why they followed them. It's because there's not been any honest debate on those issues. One of the things that Robert Mugabe was renowned for, and which Mnangagwa has adopted as his own, is the issue of reducing the cabinet into a rubber stamping body. There was no meaningful cabinet discussion in Mugabe's government. He prided himself in bullying his cabinet members to the point they became yes men. And one of the things that Margaret Dongo said in the 90s was that Mugabe's cabinet, MPs and party leaders are Mugabe's concubines, vakadzi vaMugabe. She said it in sheer frustration at the way the whole leadership always seemed to defer to whatever Mugabe wanted, as if they were no more than concubines who had to listen to the Sultan. Whatever the Sultan wants, that is what we go by. And hence you have a situation why the Kukura Wundi went along and lasted for all those years, and yet there was never any serious cabinet scrutiny of what was going on.
The similarities between ZANU-PF supporters and Chamisa supporters is so frightening because they are similar. And I have to agree with you when you say our mentality, because once you combine both these two, you got a majority of Zimbabweans. ZANU-PF supporters, at least I can understand, because they were commissioned to say, go online there and, fight them. The words that were used was Varakashi. Rakashai back. And when you start a discourse on democracy and Zimbabwe finding a better footing, they are commissioned to stop that. If it is not anything to do with ZANU-PF or supporting ZANU-PF, they were commissioned to fight against it. So I understand these guys. They, they're paid to do it, and some do it voluntarily because they do not have the capacity to think for themselves, because they were commissioned and they are simply doing the bidding without thinking. Then you have the Chamisa Chete Brigade, who we could play a video right now of Chamisa promising that he was going to win, promising them actually that he was going to win the 2023 election, and him declaring that it was a done deal. And he went further and he says that God is in it, and God
Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifoiri. Plan ya Mwari haifoiri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
Thank you very much, Robert. You made my task even simpler. Now, I don't have to ask the hard questions. All I just simply say is that not Chamisa? Did he not say so? Did he not make those promises in front of you, in front of everybody, in front of the world? The answer is simple. It is yes. Did he deliver? The answer is no. So when we play such a video and people say it is not me or it is not him, you know, this, with all the evidence, I mean, it's difficult to explain because you have the evidence and everybody can see. They will still defend and tell you that you were sent by ZANU-PF, and yet you're just playing something that Chamisa indeed did say. So you're now finding that both political sides, they are in defense mode, or they are sent to defend their leader. ZANU-PF and Triple C and Chamisa supporters are no different. They really do. There are so many similarities. It's frightening that even if we by any chance move from one side to the other, would we ever have democracy? The answer is no. We will probably have another dictator in Chamisa because they are the same. The similarities are the same. And what frightens the most is many Zimbabweans out there do not know the meaning of democracy. That frightens me very, very much, that in this day and age, 21st century, people have a vote and yet do not know the meaning of that vote. It scares me.
Like I said, one of the problems we have here is that we have never had this tradition of being a healthy and functioning democratic society. We don't have the culture of serious, open debate in the interest of analyzing a policy, for instance, to make sure that we get it right. We don't have that culture. The late Edson Zobro talked about this same problem. He called it the Mozambique syndrome. And in it, he said the Mozambique syndrome was when they were in Mozambique, whenever some of his colleagues in ZANU-PF were losing the argument, they would accuse you of being a CIA to avoid the substantive issues. Today, they call you an American puppet to avoid responsibility. I think this has been refined and perfected within ZANU-PF itself to the point that that has become the doctrine of the party. ZANU-PF has never wanted to discuss the substantive issues. And the opposition have taken the same, copied from the same manual and made it their own. And this is why we end up with this situation, as Dr. Moyo correctly pointed out, where anyone who dares to talk about to criticize is considered to be betraying. If you inquire, you're considered to be, it's considered to be hostility. And many of the opposite, ordinary Zimbabweans, we have questioned people like Chamisa, have been considered to be the hate Chamisa. They are ZANU-PF CIOs and so forth. And this has allowed this shutting out of any meaningful debate and allowing the nation to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. One of the issues that Ben was talking about there, the issue of, did Chamisa lie when he said he had plugged the vote-raking loopholes? This is at the heart of our problem. Chamisa did lie. And the consequences of that lie is that millions believed the lie, they participated in a flawed electoral process. And because you have participated, you give it legitimacy. And thus perpetuating the dictatorship. We cannot sweep that under the carpet. And yet that is exactly what we are being asked to do. When you ask people, did Chamisa lie? And they refuse to accept that. They refuse to accept that Chamisa lied. Because it opens the door for him to lie to them again, which is exactly what he's doing. Chamisa is announced that he's coming back on the political dancing floor. And what I can tell you now is that he's coming back to tell Zimbabweans that he is going to win 2028 elections, even though there is not even one token reform has been implemented. People will believe him again, and they will participate. And by participating, you give ZANU-PF legitimacy, and we are back to square one. This is the tragedy of this mentality. Ben, do you want to give your closing remarks?
If we cannot hold those in public office and those who aspire to hold public office to account, we are simply giving them the keys to the nation, no questions asked. Do as you please. And that's about it. Just the same way, you know, the Chamisa Chete Brigade would always be questioning what ZANU-PF is doing. They should do the same with their own candidate or their own, leader. It's not bringing him down. It's making him or challenging him to perform better. Everybody that wants the public office has to be accountable for their actions, past actions, and future actions. There's nobody that will just give away the keys freely to Zimbabwe and say, there is Zimbabwe, take it. Or there is nobody that could just give away their, house keys to a complete stranger and say, go and do as you please. There has to be accountability. There has to be some kind of answering and questions. It only makes individuals better. This is why we find that, Edson Sobo said that every time when we wanted to discuss the important stuff, and Chamisa lying is important, just the same as Mnangagwa lying that Zimbabwe was open for business, that he is a constitutionalist, he was lying. He has to be accountable. You cannot hold the opposite accountable and your side is all golden and clean. That is not how it works. Do as I do, not as just as I say. My biggest worry is not the politicians themselves. I think the politicians have found fertile ground in us because we will do their dirty work for them. President Mnangagwa, Chamisa, and many other opposition leaders and government leaders do not have to worry about accountability because they have Varakashi in both sides of the camp that will go and stifle debate on their behalf. So the biggest problem is not the politician. The biggest problem is you, the people of Zimbabwe. You are perpetuating the dictatorship, and you are also perpetuating a very corrupt and incompetent opposition. We are what we call self-harming. We are shooting ourselves in the foot to spite the mouth. We are doing it to ourselves. And Zimbabwe is where it is because of each and every one of us. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Ben. I'd like to give the final say to Dr. Moyo and just quote from his article. Those who have genuinely sought to understand the rationale, timing, and strategic coherence of Chamisa's re-entry into Zimbabwean politics have often been met not with reasoned counter-argument, but with abuse and ridicule from self-proclaimed supporters. This defensive posture is both surprising and deeply troubling. It reflects not confidence in leadership, but insecurity masquerading as loyalty. What is striking and indeed paradoxical is that Chamisa presently appears as a political loner, high in symbolism, low on visible organizational depth. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.